Hello, beautiful witches, wizards, muggles, whatever it is you call yourself. My name is Taylor, and today's video I thought it'd be fun to do a little survivals guide on how to do a celebration of Harry Potter. If you didn't know, this past January 2017 was my very first time going, so these are just some tips that I learned going to the event and stuff that I wish I knew prior for first timers. Also, if you went to a celebration of Harry Potter and have any tips or tricks that I didn't mention, let me know down in the description, not the description box, that's not where you do it, in the comments down below, so that way you can give me and other people some tips and tricks of your own to do it. So the very first one is definitely bring a filtered water bottle. Shout out to my mom for giving me this idea. Thank you so much, because it saved us a whole bunch of money, because water bottles are not cheap there and you can be racking up a lot of money buying water bottles. So if you bring it's like a regular water bottle and it has a filter on the cap, you can fill your water bottle up anywhere and it gives you filtered water and saves you a whole bunch of money. Like mine was $10, I think, my filtered water bottle, but I filled it up like in sinks in the, I know that sounds weird and gross, but it's filtered, so I wasn't too scared about it. In the pop machines in restaurants, in the water fountains that are through the park, and it just helped out a lot and kept me hydrated, and that's something that's very important too when you're there, to keep up being hydrated. And to go along with the saving money and bringing some things with you, Jordan and I pre-bought snacks to take with us, so that's like granola bars, protein bars, little mixtures of snacks, and stuff to keep you fueled if you don't feel like spending a ton of money at restaurants when you're there. Like I said, the park is very expensive, so that way you can save money and buy more things at like Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade, because that's what's really important, is buying, merchandise from the parks. And so those two things will save you a bunch of money when you're going to the park, and that's something I found very useful in bringing with us prior to the trip. Another thing is take advantage, if you have it, of the hour early before the park opens. That means you just get there before everybody else, and you have an hour to do whatever it is you wanted. Something that is very beneficial is to ride all the rides you want, because once you get that out of the way, you don't have to then wait in these huge extended lines that take up a bunch of your time. So if you go ahead and ride all the rides early and you get that over it with, you can do some other cool things that you wanted to do in the park. And that's a useful tip to have, is taking a big advantage of the hour open extended time, because then you have, once the park opens, everybody in the parks. And it's a bunch of people, especially during a celebration of Harry Potter. You have so many people in the park, so that is something that is very useful to have. And unfortunately, a little quick thing, Jordan and I, when we went, now we got the premium package deal. If you want to hear my experience with the premium package, let me know in the comments down below. I'll do a pretty lengthy video on that, talking about the premium, which you have the meet and greets, the on-site hotels, and a lot of other great stuff with it. And I'll be glad to do one of those videos if you're interested in learning about that, so that way you know more if you would want to purchase that when you would go to Celebration, or purchase the cheaper one. So I'll definitely do that for you, but they don't send your tickets to your house. They don't really send them to the hotel. You have to pick them up the first day of a celebration. Which I found, I wish that they sent them to our houses so we had them in our hands prior to doing everything. But when Jordan and I went to go pick up our tickets, we went to the park around 7, I think, and the lady gave us the pamphlet, and we trusted that she gave us everything. So after we were done waiting in that line, we went to the line to get into Universal and waited in there, and realized that she didn't give us the tickets to get into the park. We didn't have our meet and greet tickets, our breakfast tickets, our Q&As. We didn't have anything inside the pamphlet. So she literally gave us just about nothing. And then we had to go to guest services, and they still couldn't fix it for us. And then guest services told us to wait in the line again to get into the park. And so then we went through a different lady, and she gave us everything that we were supposed to have. And that was just a really stressful first day in the morning, that trying to do all that, and that took 2 hours out of our time, so we missed the hour early extended time. So definitely, when you go to the park, check to make sure that you have every single ticket that you need, because even if you have faith like I did that they had everything in the pamphlet, just make sure you double check that everything is in there and that you have everything that you need, so then you don't have to go through all that like commotion that we had to go through. So that's a tip. Just make sure everything is in your pamphlet prior to going into the park. Next tip is definitely wear comfortable shoes like sneakers or anything else that you can walk in, because be prepared to walk a lot. Basically, you're walking the whole entire time or waiting in lines or just running to these places. So that's definitely something that's a benefit. You definitely don't want to be in heels going through this park or anything. Wear comfortable shoes and you will be set to go. Bring Advil or Aleve too, because, in case you get sore, there's a lot that goes on in this event. So definitely make sure that you are prepared for all of the walking and standing and excitement that goes on during this event. The next one, speaking of like the events that are going on, if you care to get like a really good spot, arrive to the events early. Jordan and I arrived to each event probably around like an hour before it was supposed to start or so. Sometimes an hour and a half early, depending on which ones we really wanted to get good seats on. Like the Q&As, we made sure that we were there pretty early so we would have a good spot of seeing them up close. And the opening celebration on the very first night, we also waited in that like an hour early, so that way we got a good spot, because the film talent came out that night. They pretty much came out during a lot of the stage events, so we made sure that we got there like an hour and a half early so that we got good spots to see them. So that's something that is a good tip to know. There's even people there that were before us, so I don't know how long they waited in lines for. But yeah, Jordan and I went an hour and a half early, and we still got really good spots. We were in like the second row usually for the most part, and that was still good for us. So that's a tip also to have, is during the events, go like a little bit before if you want good spots. Another one is kind of like a pretty self-explanatory one, is bringing a camera or your phone. There's so many wonderful things that are in the park that you can capture moments on. Also, the film talent will come into the park to ride the rides and experience it themselves too. So if you don't have the premium package deal, you might be able to get like a little snipe picture of them in the parks or anything. So be prepared to see them sometimes in the park. And that's a really cool thing that they do as well. Now, January, I think, was the first year that they had 2 big expos. I know past years they had 1, but I don't know if they're going to do 2 expos next year, but this year they had 2, and packed with a ton of stuff in it. So advice for the expos is definitely expect to wait a long time in them, so be prepared to, do that. If you have the premium passes, you do get to skip the line going into the expo, but once you're in the expo, there's no like special line for anyone that had the premium ones. You guys are all like grouped together even if you didn't have any of the package deals, so you're going to be waiting with everybody else. And I remember specifically they had the 3D experience of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, where you're inside Newt's suitcase, you were wearing like the goggles and everything, or the virtual reality, that's what it was, not like 3D, it was virtual reality of Fantastic Beasts. And I remember that line was 2 hours that we had to wait in to do a 3-minute experience of being inside Newt's suitcase. So most of the lines can range anywhere from like 20 minutes and beyond. So definitely expect to wait in the expos and pick which ones you really want to do the most, because you might not get to do all of the expos that you wanted to do. So that's something that's definitely a good thing to know, is plan out which things you would want to see the most and then do those ones. Which brings me to my next tip, is plan definitely your 3 days of the celebration, because the celebration goes for 3 days. Plan out your schedule as best as you can, because you don't want to miss anything. So like plan out maybe on the first day you're going to go to the first expo along with like Diagon Alley, and then the next day you're going to do the other expo along with Hogsmeade, and then like the third day maybe you'll do some extra like shops and stuff that you wanted to do, and the Leaky Cauldron and 3 Broomsticks, and ride the Hogwarts Express. go to Honeydukes and get, you know, butterbeer and all this other stuff. It really helps to plan out. And I know that might not be like the most fun thing to do, but it helps you make sure that you accomplish everything that you want to going into the park. So that way you don't leave like being like, oh, I should have done that. Who knows when I'm going to come here in another year or not. So that's something that is a helpful tip is you'll get like a guide of exactly what events are going on each and every single day. So that's helpful and will be beneficial to you planning on what certain things that you want to do each day of the event. So that is another thing. And I don't know why for this next tip, I thought it was going to be super warm in January in Florida. I don't know why I thought it was going to be that way, but I didn't bring a lot of winter, like, cold clothes. So definitely bring some, like, sweaters and jeans and pants and stuff because you're going to be a little bit chilly if you're expecting it to be, like, a really hot day or something. So I had to purchase, like, a few sweatshirts, and luckily Jordan let me borrow some things because I wasn't really clothing prepared to go to this event. So that's something is be prepared to be in some weather that's like in the 40s or so. It's not going to be really, really warm in the 70s when you're there. So that, I don't know why I thought it was going to be that way, but so definitely bring some of those if you're cosplaying. Bring some fun things, and there wasn't as many like people dressed up this year as I thought there were, but that's definitely something fun to do, is dressing up as the characters that you love. And next is you definitely have to try butterbeer at least once, unless you don't like butterscotch cream soda flavoring together, because that's basically kind of what it is. They have 3 different ones actually. They have their regular butterbeer, frozen butterbeer, and hot butterbeer. Frozen has always been like one of my favorites, but this year I tried hot butterbeer for the first time because it was pretty chilly out and it kept me warm, and I actually really enjoyed the hot butter beer as well. And the regular is just always fantastic, but they're all really good. And yeah, Frozen is probably, I feel like Frozen would be my favorite, but on the other hand I love the hot now, and the regular is always good. But just try whatever one you think would be best for you. Another one is definitely to eat at least once at either the Three Broomsticks or the Leaky Cauldron. Both are amazing. I always get breakfast from there because through the package deal we get free breakfasts for 2 of the days, and you get to have breakfast at the Leaky Cauldron and then you get to have a free breakfast at the Three Broomsticks. So it's nice you get to see both of them and get a free breakfast because it can be a little bit expensive, but their breakfasts are amazing and you get a drink with it too, and it's just a fun time to experience, you know, the restaurants like it would be in the film, and have a butterbeer with your breakfast or your dinner, and it's just a good time in those ones. And another thing is in Florian's they have butterbeer ice cream, and that's something that I highly recommend, is having the butterbeer ice cream. It's so good. I think I even like that better than the drinks. Oh, it's amazing. Get it in a waffle cone. Oh, it's like perfect. If you like, again, that sort of flavoring combination of butterscotch and cream soda together. If you're going to Ollivander's to get your very first wand or another one, I highly suggest getting the interactive ones so that way you can do some magical stuff around the park, and those are always fun. You can get some people wet, you can make some things move. It's just a good time, and you do all the spells with everybody else around you. So that's always fun. And I believe that is it for all of my tips and tricks for your survival guide on how to a celebration of Harry Potter. Like I said, if you have any other tricks that I didn't mention, leave them down in the comments down below so that way everyone else can see your tricks that you have. And also, if you want to hear about my experience with the premium package and a celebration in all of its awesomeness, because I had an amazing time and it's just such a beautiful thing, and if you want to hear about the film talent that I met and everything else along those lines, also let me know so that way I can make a video and hopefully not bore you with me talking about all the things that I loved during a celebration of Harry Potter. Again, thank you so much for checking out my channel and watching this video if you stuck with me this long. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks.